Hello and welcome to the day 3 of the Advanced Audit and Assurance Practice to Pass session being organized by ACCA Pakistan. I am Kashif Kamran, your tutor. Now let's see what is the agenda for the third day. The agenda for the third day is to focus on a very important topic, which is ethical, professional, and quality control issue. Now, all of you know how important this topic is to advanced audit and assurance examination. I normally abbreviate this topic as EPQ, ethical, professional, and quality control issue. And I'll be using that abbreviation across my session today, EPQ. Now, this EPQ is very important, right? And in recent past papers, probably in like the last 4 years, the emphasis of EPQ has increased a lot. Now, in the first half an hour of the session today, I will be building the basics of EPQ close to the exam paper, which will really help you in taking on an exam paper. And then within the next 2 hours, when I start the drilling of the exam paper, that half an hour building would really help you. So let's start building the basics of EPQ, which will really help you in demonstration of an exam paper in the session today. Now, to start off with EPQ, let's have some basic foundation. Now, if I start first on the day 3, and the day 3 agenda is EPQ, ethical, professional, and quality control, let's first start with the basic foundation of the nature of question. Now, when we look at the nature of question, which comes in on this topic, we have to be very familiar with the types of questions which have come in the past paper on this topic. Now, the first question which comes on this topic is to identify and explain the ethical issues and recommend actions. Now, this question is alone on ethics. This question is not asking for P and Q. This question is only asking for E. So identify and explain the ethical issues and recommend actions. This is one straightforward question. And I generally believe students are good on taking on this question because mostly students are good on ethics. I've never seen students performing less on ethical issues, and they normally perform very good on ethical issues, and they're really good on identifying the ethical issues. They start to struggle when P and Q becomes part of the exam paper. Now, when the examiner asks you explain the ethical issue, each ethical issue is worth 1 mark. And the same goes with action. Each action is worth 1 mark. So when a question is alone on ethical issue, then each ethical issue is worth 1 mark and each action is worth 1 mark. Now, secondly, when a question comes like this, the question says, evaluate the ethical and professional issues and recommend actions. Now, when the question comes combined, now the question is combined, right? Ethical and professional issues and recommend actions. So the marking scheme of the question will change just of E and P. Now, for each ethical and for each professional issue, you will get 1.5 marks, worth 1.5 marks, and the action will remain the same. Each action is worth 1 mark. So there has been an increment in the marking scheme, right? The increment means that now you have 1.5 mark per ethical issue. Then the third question, which is very important, which says comment on the quality of the audit performed, comma, explaining ethical, professional, and quality control issues, question mark. Now this is the challenging question. This is more challenging than the questions number 1 and question number 2. Now when the examiner says comment on the quality of the audit performed, I will be demonstrating in my session today what exactly that means. But the examiner wants a comment from you on the quality, right? So the examiner wants you to comment on the quality. And when the examiner is saying comment on the quality, examiner wants a comment on the quality explaining ethical, professional, and quality control issues. Explaining ethical, professional, and quality control issues. Now, this is the maximum question, right? Now, the marking scheme will remain the same. The marking scheme would be each ethical, professional, each ethical, professional, and quality control issue is worth 1.5 marks, and no actions here, right? Comment on the quality of the audit performed, explaining ethical, professional, and quality control issue. Now this is maximize question. Now you can get a question on a loan ethics. You can get a question on ethical and professional combined. And you can get a question where the examiner is emphasizing on quality along with ethical and professional issues. So there are 3 types of questions you should be prepared with in the session today. A very simple question on ethics, then an ethical and professional question, and then a question which says comment on the quality. So the emphasis is on quality, explaining ethical, professional, and quality control issues. So I will be preparing you for each of the 3. So please be familiar with the 3 types of question and be familiar with the marking scheme of each of the 3 type of questions. Now let's start on with one by one each one of them. Now when the question is on ethical issues, a student should know what ethical issues are in the context of your syllabus. When the question is on ethical issues, what are ethical issues, right? Now, examiner has written an article, right, which is an exam technique article on ethical issue. So there is already guidance provided by ACCA on this subject matter. So you should read that guidance provided by ACCA on this, and it is must to read. So examiner has written an article, right, on ethical issues and the exam techniques on ethical issues. So that is a must to read article. Secondly, now students are good on ethics, right? Students are good on ethical issues because you have a carry forward effect, right? You have a carry forward effect coming from audit and assurance exam or the F8 exams. Now students are good on ethical issue, and what ethical issues are? Ethical issues are as simple as that, the threats to objectivity, and all of you know the threats to objectivity, right? How many threats to objectivity? The 5 threats to objectivity. So all of you are familiar with those 5 threats to objectivity. Plus, in the past papers, you must have seen another ethical issue known as conflict of interest. The conflict of interest has been very popular with examiner. Examiner has raised numerous questions on conflict of interest, where the examiner involves a situation of competitor and the same audit firm is doing audit of competitors. And we know that there is nothing improper, right, in an audit firm having two clients who are competitors. There is nothing improper in an audit firm having two clients who have conflict of interest because you need to have safeguards. Yes, Lisa and Shiza, there are 5 threats to objectivity. The management threat is an exception. In some cases, we do get management threat, but that is an exceptional threat, right? But as per the code of conduct, there are 5 threats. The management threat is to be used in the context of the exam paper. So to me, there are 5 threats, right? Conflict of interest. And then another very important issue which has come in the past paper is known as confidentiality. A lot of time, the examiner has raised questions on confidentiality, and a student should know when to whistleblow confidentiality. A student should know that the confidentiality can be whistleblown when we have an obligatory responsibility, and we should whistleblow the confidentiality when we have a voluntary responsibility. So if the auditor has a voluntary or an obligatory responsibility, the auditor would whistleblow the confidential matter. Apart from that, the auditor would not whistleblow the confidential matter. So this is the definition, right? This is the definition of the ethical issues. Waqar Ali, I just started my lecture, right, on ethical issues. So as I go down to professional and quality control, I'll be explaining to you what is the difference between professional and quality control issues, right? So I just started on with my lecture on ethics. So you all should be good on ethics, and you basically know what is the definition of ethics in the context of exam paper, and that is exactly the same definition you had in the audit and assurance exam, the F8 exams. So this is the maximum boundary of ethical issues in the exam paper. Now, if you go to the bigger parameter, which is basically the professional issues. Now, please listen to something very carefully. I have no issues with ethics because all of you are so good on this. An examiner likes the way you answer questions on ethics, but the examiner has issues with you when it comes to professional and ethical issues. Now, when we go down and start a fresh exercise on professional and quality control. Now, listen to something very carefully. Students are unaware of the basic principle. Students are unaware of the basic principle that, now I have written the unaware in capital, right? So I need to emphasize on that unaware part very carefully. Students are unaware of the basic principle that, now see carefully, quality is dependable. Quality is dependable, or quality is an outcome, or quality is an output. Quality is dependable. Quality is an outcome. Quality is an output of what? Quality is dependable on. Quality is an outcome of. Quality is an output of what? Of two inputs. Quality depends upon something, right? Quality can never be an input. Quality has to be an output. Whether we speak that in the context of the advanced audit and assurance exam, or we speak of that in journal, quality of anything depends upon something. That is a very basic principle, right? We're not just talking about audit currently, right? And that exactly is the same principle for audit. The quality of the audit is dependable upon two inputs, and those two inputs are, number one, ethical issues, and number two, professional issues. So when the examiner says comment on the quality, explaining the ethical, professional, and quality control issue. So why is the examiner raising a question saying comment on the quality? Because you have to comment on the quality, explaining the ethical, professional, and quality control issues. So that means ethical and professional issues are basically the input. They are basically the input of the quality. So quality depends upon ethics. The quality depends upon professional. Now let's take an example. Ethical issues first. You yourself imagine when there are threats to objectivity, when there are threats to objectivity, when there are threats to independence, will the quality be compromised? Yes or no? When there are threats to objectivity, when there are threats to independence, will the quality be compromised? If there is a self-interest threat, if there is a self-review threat, will the quality be compromised? So, and when the auditor is independent, will the quality be boosted? When the auditor is independent, will the quality be boosted? So are you understanding? Do ethics has a correlation with quality? Are you understanding? There is such a strong correlation. There is such a strong correlation of ethics with quality. So threats to objectivity, threats to independence, will it compromise the quality of audit? Will it compromise the quality of audit? Will it compromise the quality of audit? And the answer has to be a definite yes. Because threats are negative, right? Threats can never boost the quality. Threats will compromise the quality. What I was saying here, I was saying threats. So threats will do what? Threats will compromise. Threats will compromise the quality of the audit. So is there a correlation between ethical issues and quality? So examiner is saying comment on the quality, explaining the ethical and professional issues. Now try to understand broader. Professional issues, they're so broad. Professional issues are so broad. And within the time limitation of this practice to pass session, I need to give you that broad definition within the next 10 minutes to try to absorb that broad definition of what professional issues are, because that will really help us in solving a question today in the class. Okay, let's see what professional issues are. Now, first of all, the professional issues, whatever they are, I'll just be explaining them. Professional issues can boost, and professional issues can boost or compromise the quality of audit. Now see the important statement here. Professional issues, whatever they are, I'll just be explaining them, but with the professional issues, there are two very important things. Professional issues can also boost the quality, and professional issues can also compromise the quality. But the threats to objectivity, because the threats in the case study are all negative, right? Threats means negative thing. So negative thing can never boost the quality, right? Negative things will compromise the quality. But professional issues in all the past papers, professional issues had been very positive in the past paper as well as negative. So if the professional issue is positive, it will boost the quality. If the professional issue is negative, it will compromise the quality. So the correlation of professional issue is very important, because the professional issue can correlate with boosting the quality, and the professional issue can correlate with compromising the quality. Let's see how. Professional issues starts from the stage of client acceptance. So see how broad they are. Professional issue starts from the case of the client acceptance. Khwaja, I will be explaining that. Just wait for 5 minutes. I just started my lecture on professional issue. Professional issues starts from the stage of client acceptance. You know client acceptance is a topic in your advanced audit and assurance exam. And you know client acceptance, at the time of client acceptance, there are so many professional issues. At the stage of client acceptance, we need to assess the client integrity. If I don't assess the client integrity and I take on the client, will it compromise my quality? If I don't correspond with the previous auditor and I take on the client, will it compromise my quality? So should I be corresponding with the previous auditor at the stage of client acceptance? Is that must? Should I be assessing the client integrity at the stage of client acceptance? So are these important things to be done at the stage of client acceptance? And if I don't correspond with the previous auditor, or if I don't assess the client integrity, will all that be compromising the quality of my audit later? So it starts from the stage of client acceptance, and then it goes to the next stage. Starts from the stage of client acceptance, then it goes to the stage of planning. Then it goes to the stage of planning. Now, how many times in the past paper, the examiner has given a question on client acceptance stage? Examiner has given a question on client acceptance stage way back in June 11 exams, the question number 3A, where the examiner asked for what are ethical and professional issues in accepting a new client. So see, what are ethical and professional issues in accepting a new client? So professional starts from the stage of client acceptance. Then the stage of planning. How many times the examiner has raised a question on planning in the past paper? The examiner says the planning is about to commence. You must have seen these questions in past paper. At times the examiner says the audit is nearing completion. At times the examiner says the audit is underway. At times the examiner says the planning is about to commence. If you read the introductory paragraphs tells you where the audit is. At times the audit is nearing completion. You must have seen that statement many times. Examiner says the audit is nearing completion. At times the examiner says the audit is underway. At times the examiner says the planning of the audit is to commence shortly. So examiner do tell you the stage in the question paper. You have to pick the stage very carefully. So many times examiner has given a question at the stage of planning. Now just imagine at the stage of planning, if I give you some examples, at the stage of planning, for example, I'm taking all these from the past papers, right? At the stage of planning, suppose the situation is the junior was expecting to have a planning meeting, but no such meeting was held. Will it compromise the quality of the audit, or will it boost the quality of the audit? The junior was expecting to have a planning meeting, right? And no such meeting was held. So is that something important? Is planning meeting very important? And if the planning meeting has not been held, will it compromise the quality? Can we start audit without planning? No. See the vice versa statement, which came in the June 15 exams. In the June 15 exams, the examiner just took the vice versa. In the June 15 exam, the examiner said the partner telephoned the finance director to set up a planning meeting. Now see how positive this statement is. This is from the June 15 exams. I think June or December. It is from 2015 exams, either June or December. The partner telephoned the finance director to set up a planning meeting. Is that something positive? Is the partner really worried about planning? Is the partner really worried about meeting the finance director? Is the partner demonstrating the leadership qualities? Is the partner fully aware of his responsibilities? Does the partner know that I'm responsible to contact the finance director and to set up a planning meeting? Right? So is it boosting the quality when the partner is fully aware of his responsibility and the partner knows the leadership responsibilities? Is the partner fully aware of the leadership responsibilities? So the partner telephoned the finance director to set up a planning meeting. See, this is so positive. So at the stage of planning, right? Okay, let's go after. From the stage of planning, the professional issues are also at the stage of evidence, stage of gathering evidence. How many times the examiner has set a question that is at the stage of evidence? For example, the examiner says the audit team didn't verify the physical existence of the packing machine. The physical existence of the packing machine. This is in June 2016. June 2016. When the question says the audit team didn't verify the physical existence of the packing machine, has it compromised the quality of evidence? Is physical existence something very important for the asset? And have we verified the physical existence? So have we compromised the quality of evidence? Have we compromised the appropriateness of the evidence? So are you understanding the positivities and the negativities which have been there in the past papers, particularly when the question comes on professional issues? The next statement, the auditor noted the auditor noted the deficiency. The auditor noted the deficiency in the internal control systems. See, is it going positive, right? The auditor noted the deficiency in the internal control systems, but didn't communicated it to those charged with governance, but didn't communicated it to management. Has the auditor done something wrong here? He did one thing good, right? He noted it, but the thing he did bad was he didn't communicated it to the management. Is communicating to management very important? Is communicating management is ISA 265? The ISA 265 says communicating deficiencies to those charged with governance. Is communicating deficiencies very important? Right? So has the auditor done a blunder by not communicating it to those charged with governance? So is it something negative? And will that compromise my professional behavior? My professional behavior is to communicate to those charged with governance. But I didn't demonstrate my professional behavior. There is a lack of professional behavior because I should have informed it, but I didn't. Okay, now from the stage of evidence to the stage of review. How many times you've seen a question on a stage of review and on a stage of completion? The question starts with the audit is nearing completion. This question has come most of the time. The audit is nearing completion. When the audit is nearing completion, then if you have read that line in the exam paper, the audit is nearing completion, and you see something like this in the question paper. The manager didn't had time to review everything. The manager didn't had time to review everything. This is in the June 13 exams. June 13 exams. If the manager didn't have time to review everything, the manager has to review the working papers, right? And he didn't have time to review everything. Will that boost the quality? Will that compromise the quality? He didn't have time to review everything. So can there be some errors in the working paper which might go undetected? Will that increase the detection risk for the auditor? Because the manager didn't have time to review everything, will that increase the detection risk for the auditor? So can you understand the positivities and negativities? The next statement, the manager and the partner came on the same day to review the working papers. This came in June 16 exams. The manager and the partner came on the same day to review the working paper. Can the manager and partner come on the same day to review the working paper? Right? Can the manager and partner come on the same day to review working paper? If they're coming on the same day to review working paper, it will be very haphazard. It will be very overlapping. And if they are doing the review of the working paper on the same day, will it compromise the quality of the working papers and the review of the working papers? Right? So I hope you're understanding it. Fidaullah, I'll be taking the June 17 exam as my session practice today, right? So don't be worried about it. That's the agenda for the session today. I'll be doing the June 17 question with you. Okay, the next thing. So are you understanding the professional issues? Are you understanding the professional issues can be at the stage of client acceptance, can be at the stage of planning, can be at the stage of gathering evidence, and can be at the stage of review and completion? Are you understanding that? And can a professional issue be positive and negative? So can a professional issue boost the quality and compromise the quality? So can it be positive? Can it be negative? If you think it is a positive issue, you will justify why it will boost. You have to justify why in the exam paper. If it is negative, you have to justify why in the exam paper. So you will still get marks, because a lot of time we never justify positive things in the exam paper. So you have to justify the positive professional issues, because the positive professional issues will boost the quality, Okay, then the next thing, when we talk about professional issues, how many times have you seen that in past papers, that professional issues also includes competence, professional competence? How many times have you seen questions on professional competence? Sometimes the professional competence is positive, sometimes the professional competence is negative. See these examples. Number one, the audit committee has requested the audit firm to perform an actuarial valuation. One of the partner is a qualified actuary. See, one of the partner is a qualified actuary. So has competence come in some positive form here? Is this competence positive or negative? Will it boost the quality of the actuarial valuation service? Next, the audit committee has requested to perform a forensic investigation service. The audit firm has a separate forensic audit department. Is that something positive? If we perform this forensic investigation service, will it boost quality? Do we have a forensic audit department? Do we have specialism? Is specialism something favorable or adverse? Specialism, right? Specialism. So will we appreciate the specialism in exam paper? And will we tell examiner that the audit firm have specialism? And what if the question comes like this? These are all past paper questions, right? The audit firm has been invited to the tender of the plant group. which operates in the telecom industry, The audit firm have a separate, have a separate telecom audit department. Is that positive again? See, these are all past papers. How many times the examiner has emphasized on positivity of the competence? How many times examiner has emphasized on positivity of the competence? All three examples are from three different exam settings. Is the examiner speaking the same language, specialism, and the specialism in all the three examples are favorable? Will it boost quality? And see the negative competence. It says the junior has performed the deferred tax calculation. The junior has performed the deferred tax calculation. Is there a chance that the deferred tax calculation could be wrong because the junior performed it? Will it compromise the quality of the deferred tax calculation? Is junior competent enough? Is junior competent enough to do the calculations of the deferred tax? It is a complex area, right? So are you understanding the positivities and negativities? So please be assured when you face professional and exam paper, keep your mind open, because ethics is very simple. Ethics is all negative. You will find a self-review threat, you will find a self-interest threat, you will find an advocacy threat, you will find an intimidation threat, and wherever there is a threat, automatically it will compromise the quality. But professional issues are broad. Professional issues can be favorable. Professional issues can be adverse. That all depends upon the case study. It is up to the examiner how the examining team formulates a case. The examining team can formulate a case with many positive things and with many negative things. So if you think there are positive things, can you connect the positive things with boosting quality and something like that? Are you understanding my point of view? So was I right saying here that the professional issues can be positive and professional issues can be negative? And have I demonstrated them? Have I demonstrated them through examples that they can be positive and negative? Are all of you clear on that? Okay, so can a professional issue boost quality? Yes. Can a professional issue compromise quality? Yes. So professional issue is broader, right? So please understand that professional issues are broader. Professional issues are broader. Now, one last thing, and we are starting on with exam papers, because you just need to keep a half an hour and 40 minutes for this concept building exercise. You need to spend most of the time in the class today for practice, because it's a practice to pass session. Okay, one last thing. How important these all are. Leadership responsibilities. Are leadership responsibilities important? Can leadership responsibilities be favorable and negative? We just got an example, right? We just got an example here that the partner telephoned the finance director to set up a planning meeting. Was that something favorable in terms of leadership responsibility? Was the partner aware of his leadership responsibility? Was the partner aware of the leadership responsibility? And we know leadership responsibility is one of the requirements of ISQC 1. And ISQC 1 deals with quality control. ISQC 1 says there has to be leadership responsibility. So if there is a leadership responsibility, will it boost the quality of the audit? See another example of leadership responsibility. Manager was busy with other assignments, so was not always available. Is it positive leadership responsibility or is it a negative leadership responsibility? Will it compromise the quality? Will it boost the quality? So see, and leadership responsibility is a component of ISQC1, right? Leadership responsibility is a component of ISQC1, will directly connect with quality. How many times the examiner brings the leadership? The leadership is partner, right? And the leadership is the manager. Both are leaders, right? The partner is an absolute leader, but the person who leads the team is the manager. So if the manager is absent and if the manager is busy, obviously will compromise the quality of the audit because the manager is responsible for supervision. The manager is responsible for day-to-day supervision. And if the manager is not available, it will compromise the quality. Now, second, how many times we see this happening in the question paper? Professional behavior. How many times we see the professional behavior is lacking? Professional behavior is lacking. For example, the manager, the managers, the manager said not to use firm policy, not to use the firm statistical sampling method. Is the manager breaking the firm policy? Is that something lacking of a professional behavior? Is the manager giving a right instruction or a wrong instruction? And how many times we see in past paper that the manager is giving a wrong instruction? Is he giving a wrong instruction? Is he saying break the firm policy? Is he demonstrating a proper professional behavior? So can we criticize the professional behavior of the manager that he is breaking the firm policy and he's setting a wrong culture? He's setting a wrong culture for the rest to follow. So professional behavior is very important. So try to identify the professional behavior. Try to identify the leadership. Try to identify the professional competence. The professional competence is so important. I've just given you examples up on top. At times the competence is positive. At times the competence is negative. I've just given you examples, right? I've just given you examples on top for professional competence. I'm not repeating them. But please remember, these three things are very important: competence, behavior, and leadership. And so many times you will see that in the question. So I hope you're getting a clear message on professional, and we can start on with exam practice because a lot of things will be clarified once we look at an exam paper, because understanding is one thing and implementing is the second thing. And obviously, Salman, we write actions for only negative things, right? We never write actions for positive things. When something is positive, it is positive, right? When something is positive, it is positive. When something is negative, we will criticize it and we will write the actions. Is that clear to everyone? So let's do one final recap for a minute and start on with exam practice. Okay, the final recap. Quality is dependable, right? And quality is dependable on two inputs. Is that true? And everyone is clear on that message that quality depends upon two inputs. Quality depends upon ethics and quality depends upon professional. Will ethical issues compromise the quality? And will can professional issue boost quality as well as compromise quality? Right? So please be clear on ethical issues, please be clear on professional issues, and please remember that professional issues are broader, right? And as we start practicing a question, automatically you will get to know the actions, right? So a lot of students have concern about actions. So obviously actions will come from within the past papers, right? So let's go closer to past papers and start on with practice. I hope this concept building must have given you some clarifications and must have boosted your confidence and will boost your quality as well. It will boost your quality in exam paper as well, right? I hope this practice will boost your quality as well in exam paper. Okay, let's start with exam practice. Now, the Resources for the session today has been shared in the handout section of the webinar, and I hope you have downloaded those handouts which we need for the class today, because there is a handout which is uploaded, which in the webinar section, which you have to download, and that handout is basically the practice worksheet. I hope you can see that in the handout section, the practice worksheet, and I'll be using the practice worksheet today because the practice worksheet contains many cases from the past paper. So I hope all of you have this practice worksheet, and I'll be using the same on the screen to demonstrate it. Okay, let's start on with the practice worksheet. Practice. Okay, let's first quickly do a practice on ethical issues, only ethical issues, right? And I'll spend very less time on this because it's only ethical issue where students are good. Then I'll spend more time on P and Q, professional and quality, and I'll take the bigger questions. Okay, so let's drill this as quickly as possible. Okay, now in front of your screen, you can see this equation, and let's see what is wrong with this equation. It says identify and explain the ethical issues and recommend actions. So how much marks will I take for ethical issues and actions? This is an alone question, right? This is an alone question on ethics. So each ethical issue will be worth 1 mark, right? And each action will be worth 1 mark. Okay, let's start reading it. Connolly has approached its bank to extend the borrowing facility. Now, obviously, that is a management responsibility, right? That the management should approach the bank to extend the borrowing facility. So that's very good. An extension of a $10 million is being sought. So the company is seeking a $10 million loan to support the ongoing development of the new drug. So what's the business interest? The business interest is they want to take a loan because they want to support the ongoing development of the new drug. So that is the business interest, right? They want the loan for development of the new drug. Our firm has been asked by the bank to provide a guarantee in respect of loan extension. Now, this is the ethical problem. Our firm has been asked by the bank to provide a guarantee in respect of loan extension. And it says it is a listed company. And I hope you know the importance of a listed company in a question on ethics, because there are so many services which are prohibited to listed companies. And there are so many services which are permissible to listed company. The question on ethics, and when the question on ethics is on a listed company, it plays a crucial part, right? If it is a non-listed company, then everything is permissible. You just need to have safeguards. But in a case of listed company, something is permissible and something is prohibited. So it is a listed company and the total assets of the company are 200 million. Let's see how crucial that is. Now see how I answer the question. And I'll try answering the question in a more recent format. Our firm has been asked by the bank to provide a guarantee. So I'll first put a heading, advocacy threat, and under the advocacy threat, I'll tell the problem. The request to provide guarantee, request to provide guarantee in respect of loan extension give rise to advocacy threat 0.5 marks. Now I need to tell why, as the audit firm will be promoting the Connolly business interest, that is success of the loan extension. Is that the business interest, success of the loan extension? And if I give a guarantee, will that really promote the business interest? Will I be working in the business interest if I give a guarantee? So when I tell examiner this is an advocacy threat, I will take 0.5 marks, right? And when I justify why it is a threat, it will give me another 0.5 marks. Next, self-review threat. Further, the loan, further, the loan extension, if successful, because I'm not sure whether I will offer this advocacy or not, if successful, will become a component of the financial statement, will become a component of the financial statements later, as will become the component of the financial statements later. And being an existing client, and being an existing client, and being an existing client of the audit firm will give rise to self-review threat. It is my existing client, right? So if this loan becomes part of the balance sheet, and I know I have given a guarantee, so then that means it is a self-review threat. And then the last thing, it is a self-interest threat. The self-interest threat is very important because I will be getting income, right? I will be getting income by providing the guarantee. I will be charging a fees, right? And it is my existing client. So I will tell examiner, moreover, the guarantee on the bank loan will generate further income for the audit firm from its existing client, which give rise to a self-interest threat. See, every threat has to be justified. I hope you can see. I'm not only telling examiner the threat, I'm telling examiner why. So it was our existing client, right? So obviously the income generated from an existing client will give rise to self-interest threat. Now I have to write an action, and I'll tell examiner the action. Now I need to tell examiner the significance. See how I write an action. Significance. I tell examiner, being a listed company, comma, significance. Being a listed company, is that giving a significance to my statement? Being a listed company, comma, the extension of the loan of $10 million is 5% of the total assets. See, significance. Yes, we can write in paragraphs in exam paper, right? In the recent history, the examiner is writing the ethical issues in paragraphs, which is a very good format. The extension of the loan of $10 million is 5% of the total assets, thus material to the financial statements. Therefore, the audit firm should politely decline the request to provide a guarantee in respect of the loan extension. See how I signify that. I say being a listed company. Was that a significance? Had it been a non-listed company, it would not have been significant. I could have provided the guarantee in case of a non-listed company by having separate teams. But what was the significance? Being a listed company, the extension of the loan is 5%. So have I signified the percentage of materiality? Thus material to the financial statement. And we should politely decline was the action. So for every threat I wrote, I got 1 mark. For every threat I wrote, I got 1 mark. And for the action I wrote, I got 1 mark. Right? So you have to be careful about the way you structure your answer. Please remember, for identifying a threat, you have 0.5 marks. And for telling examiner why it is a threat is equal to another 0.5 marks. Because this was a question alone on ethics, right? So it's up to you how you structure it. You can use headings, you cannot use headings, but remember one thing, every point should start from a new paragraph. That will really help the assessor in checking your paper. And if you facilitate your assessor, that's very good. So try to facilitate your assessor, right, who is checking the paper. Start every unique point from a new paragraph. So when you complete a point, change the para. Then again, when you complete the point, change the para. So it's up to you whether you want to go with individual paras, and you can go with headings. Right? So this was an alone question on ethics. Now, last thing, and we're taking a professional and quality control question. Something for students, student guidance, and something which can help you impress the assessor. If you want to impress your assessor, do this in the exam paper. But not all of you can do this because it requires a lot of practice and you have very less time for that. Okay, let's see, how can you impress your assessor in a question on ethics? Tell the assessor where possible, the significance of the threat. See, I told the assessor the significance of the threat. Being a listed company, significance of a threat. It is 5% of the total asset, the significance of the threat. So tell the assessor where possible the significance of the threat and see what the examiner says. Examiner says it is a high level skill. It is a high level skill which is not demonstrated by many students. These are exactly the wordings of the examiner. Now, how can you tell its significance to examiner? I just given you one example. Being a listed company, it is 5%. Significance. Now, when you write significance, significance can be by what? Significance of a threat can be by the by listed company. So if it is a listed company, will you give significance to listed company? Will you tell examiner being a listed company? If it is a non-listed company, will you give significance to it? Because in a non-listed company, everything is permissible. Everything is permissible. Right? So significance can be by listed company, right? And secondly, the significance can be by the person involved in the ethical dilemma. Who is the person involved in ethical dilemma? Does the ethical dilemma relates with a partner? Does the ethical dilemma relates with the manager? Or does an ethical dilemma relates with a senior? If the partner have a self-interest threat, is that very significant? If the engagement partner have a self-interest threat, is that something very important? Is that something very significant? Because the engagement partner has to sign the report, right? And you have to be very careful about it. So will you tell examiner being the engagement partner, comma, will you give significance to the engagement partner being the engagement partner, comma, and justify after? And if the shares are held by the senior, will it lose the importance? The shares are held by the partner will increase the importance. The shares are held by the senior It remains the self-interest thread, right? It remains the self-interest thread, but it will lose the significance. It will lose the significance. And the last thing, something is significant by its materiality. Just like we did above, it is 5% of the total asset, so it automatically become prohibited. If the percentage would have been less, then this service would have become permissible. But because it was material, the service became prohibited. Yes, Muhammad Ali, for a non-listed company, the code of conduct is basically for a public interest entity, right? So for a non-listed company, everything is permissible means that you need to apply the safeguards. So in a non-listed company, we normally apply the safeguard like two different teams, like having an independent partner review. But when it comes to a listed company, the code of conduct is very concerned. The code of conduct says, oh, if it is a listed company, first consider whether it is a prohibited service or it is a permissible service. Because code of conduct has made a long list of services which are prohibited for a listed company, right? I hope that is clear to you, Muhammad Ali. Yes, if the question is silent, we will assume the company to be non-listed, Wakar Ali. The same service, Muhammad Ali, the same service, Muhammad Ali, if you're providing a guarantee on a loan extension to a non-listed company, it would have been permissible. We could not have even seen 5%. If it would have been a non-listed company, we would straight away have said, okay, let's provide a loan guarantee by having a different partner for loan guarantee and by having a different partner for the audit. Okay, so significance, right? Please ensure that in the exam paper you write significance, and significance of a threat can be by listed company, by the person, and by the materiality. It is a higher level skill. Examiner wants you to demonstrate that, but examiner says a lot of students don't do it. But again, you have just few days left before your exam hall. I have no idea how much practice you have done, and can you re-practice on the context of high level skills. Okay, now that's ending ethics, and we have to now start with professional and quality. Okay, now look at this question in front of you from a very recent exams, June 17, question number 3, Moosewood Hospital. You must have seen this question many times and must have practiced it many times because you have exam on Monday. Moosewood Hospital, such an important question. June 17, question number 3. Can you just read this question quickly? We have to identify the ethical and professional issues from this question. So can you just read through this question in like 2 minutes in front of your screen before I start to analyze this question and we start drilling the ethical issues and the professional issues from this question. And please ensure the stage, at which stage the audit is. Read the introductory paragraph very carefully to identify at which stage we are on. Are we completing the audit? Are we at the review stage of the audit? At what stage of the audit we are on? Because that will really play a crucial part in the answer. Okay, start reading the Moosewood Hospital, and exactly after 2 minutes, I will be interacting on this Moosewood question. So your time starts now. Okay, the time is up. So let's now start understanding the question. This question is on ethical and professional issues from the June 17 question number 3, and I'll be illustrating how to solve this question so that you have a better sense of ethical and professional issue. Okay, let's start reading it. You are a manager working in the public sector audit department of Fern and Company. You are responsible for the audit of a Moosewood hospital. Now, the moment we see a Moosewood hospital, should we think in the exam paper that a hospital has a public interest? Yes or no? Does a hospital has a public interest? Yes. So just keep that at the back of the mind, right? Till the time we need it in the answer. So hospital have a public interest, right? For the year ended 31st of March 2017, you have recently visited the audit team. You have recently visited the audit team who are currently on site performing the field work. So currently, what stage of the audit it is? This is a field work stage of audit. That means we are gathering evidence, who are performing the field work. So what stage of the audit we are on? Gathering evidence to review the work performed to date. So the manager has come for what? The manager has come to review the work performed and to discuss their progress. Is that something good on part of the manager to visit us when we are doing the field work and to review the progress? Is that something good? Is he demonstrating the leadership responsibilities? Does he know that I have to visit my team to review the work performed? Is that the manager duty to review the work performed? Is he active on his duty? Is he aware of his duty? He is, right. And to discuss their progress. Is that another good thing he's doing? He's also discussing their progress. So is the manager responsible for supervision? And is the manager conducting the supervision? So is that something favorable so far? So the question started very favorably, right? That the manager has visited the team and to review their work and to discuss their progress. So what is the stage of the audit? Field work. Okay, now let's see what is the problem. During your audit, during your visit, the audit senior informed you of the following matter. Now the audit senior is giving you the feedback. Let's see what feedback is the senior giving to you. During a review of the valuation of the medical inventory. So where are we? We are working on the valuation of the inventories. So we are working on the valuation of inventories, including medicines used in a variety of treatments at the hospital. It was noted that a number of items had passed their recommended use by date. So a number of items had passed their recommended use by dates. So what we noticed while we were conducting the valuation of medical inventories, that a number of medical inventories are expired. Does that line means that the medical inventories are expired, have passed their recommended use by date? So does that means a lot of inventory have become expired, and we noted that while we were conducting the valuation. So the first point, number one, which I will raise to the examiner, I will say valuation of medical inventories. Should I be skeptical? Should I be skeptical about the valuation of medical inventories to demonstrate my professional behavior? Should I be concerned about the valuation of medical inventory at the lower of cost or NRV, considering they are expired inventory? Should I be concerned about their valuation? Because I'm currently at what stage of the audit? Am I gathering evidence? Am I at the stage of gathering evidence in this question? So should I be concerned about the valuation of the inventory which has been expired? Should I be concerned about how they're recorded in the financial statements of the hospital? Because currently I'm at what stage? I'm at the stage of gathering evidence. So will I gather evidence about whether they have been recorded at the lower of cost or NRV? So this is my professional behavior, right? So valuation of the medical inventory, lower of cost or NRV, and expired inventory. There is a risk, right? There is a risk that the management, there is a risk that the management value them incorrectly. Is there a risk that the management of the hospital value them incorrectly? So should I be taking evidence on it? Should I be taking evidence on it? So is that my responsibility? Is that my professional behavior? Is that my professional behavior? Is that my responsibility to gather evidence on the lower of cost or NRV and to ensure that the management has treated them correctly? Okay, number 2 point. These were recorded on an inventory spreadsheet. So these expired inventories were recorded on a spreadsheet maintained by the financial controller and were easy to spot because they were highlighted in red. So the financial controller is maintaining a spreadsheet, right? And on the spreadsheet, they were recorded and they were highlighted in red. So far, so good, right? That the financial controller is maintaining a spreadsheet on which they were highlighted. So we can identify how much is the expired inventory. So we can pick the expired inventory from the spreadsheet. One of the audit team inspected a sample of inventory in question and confirmed their use by date had expired. So we've already worked on that date, but we have already worked on the expired inventory, right? When asked about this, the financial controller stated that the audit team must be mistaken. The financial controller stated that the audit team must be mistaken, and the audit team requested to look at the spreadsheet again, but he refused. See how critical that line is? Can you understand the criticality of this line? When you ask the financial controller that I want to have a look, at the spreadsheet again, he refused. So the financial controller refusal, should I become skeptical? Why is he refusing? And is skepticism my professional issue? Should I demonstrate professional skepticism? Is that my duty as an auditor, to become skeptical when the management is refusing me something? Is can that be the case, that the management is trying to conceal something from me? So I should become skeptical. Why is the financial controller refusing me? Skeptical. Why is the financial controller refusing? And can I tell that refusing is basically like limiting the scope of the auditor? Limiting the scope of the auditor. So will I be concerned about why is the financial controller limiting my scope? And will that make me skeptical? Should I become skeptical as if the management is trying to conceal something from me? Will it bring doubts on the client integrity? Will it bring question mark on the client integrity? So can you understand my professional issue here? That then I need to become skeptical. I need to become skeptical because the financial controller is refusing me something and he's trying to limit my scope. Okay, the next point. The next day, the finance director, now the person is changing from a controller to a director. Now see how important finance director is to us. For an auditor, the finance director is very important because he has a close interaction with the audit team. The next day, the finance director confronted the audit team. Confronted is such a strong language here, right? Accusing them of extended their investigation beyond their remit. Who is finance director to tell us what is our remit? Can the finance director tell us what is our scope? Can the finance director tell us what we should do and what we should not do? Does finance director has that capacity? Is he trying to limit us? Is he trying to intimidate us? He's saying he threatened to remove them from the premises. He threatened to remove them from the premises. Is he trying to intimidate us? Is this the first ethical issue we have in the question? The finance director threatened The finance director threatened. Is that an intimidation threat in the case? Intimidation threat? As the finance director is trying to pressurize the audit team? So see, automatically we've got an ethical issue. When it is there, right? No need to search for it. See, it was there and he found it. Is the finance director threatening us? Should again we become skeptical? Should we be concerned? Should we show concern about client integrity? Should we show concern about client integrity? Should we show concern about client integrity? Is it something strange? And will the audit team think about, why is the finance director trying to intimidate us? That means the finance director is trying to conceal something from me, and the finance director is trying to hide something from me, trying to conceal something. So will that make me skeptical? Will that make me alert during the course of the remaining audit? Is the audit still ongoing, or has the audit ended? Will it make me more skeptical for the rest of the audit? Will it make me skeptical for the remaining audit? The next point. He threatened to remove them from the premises if they continued to ask questions which were not relevant to the audit of the hospital's financial statement. So I have to raise another point here. I have to raise another point that finance director is no one. Finance director is no one to set the scope of the audit, to set the scope of the audit. Finance director is no one to set the scope of the audit, right? This sounds like my action, because I'm telling examiner, finance director is no one to set my action because my scope is defined by the international standards on auditing. My scope is defined by the ISA. Who is finance director to set my scope? So it is like writing an action, right? Okay, let's go on. Since then, the audit team has been unable to complete their work. Since then, the audit team has been unable to complete their audit work on medical inventories. So is it like the audit team is stuck? Since then, the audit team has been unable to complete their audit work on medical inventory. So is it means that the audit team is stuck with the work? No further, no further work on inventory. Does that means that because of the scope limitation, on inventory, because of the scope limitation on inventory, the audit team is stuck? If the audit team is stuck, will it cause inefficiencies in the audit? If the audit team is stuck, will it cause inefficiencies in the audit? Will it cause effects on my timetable, on my deadlines? Yes or no? If the audit team is stuck, will it cause inefficiencies? Will it cause inefficiencies? Will cause inefficiencies? Will it cause inefficiencies? And will it affect the timetable of the audit? Because auditor has a timetable, right? And the management is not giving me a permission to work. So will it affect my timetable? It will. Okay, and the last thing, they also noted that the room where the inventory was previously kept has been emptied. They also noticed that the room where the inventory has been kept has been emptied. Is that strange? The emptied room, is it bringing a doubt? Is it bringing doubts on client integrity? Is it bringing doubts on the client integrity? And again, should I be alert why the room was emptied? Now, the last point. Is it a hospital? And the hospital works in the public interest, right? Should I be thinking should I be thinking of disclosing the expired inventory? Should I be thinking about disclosing the expired inventory in the better interest of the public? Should that be my action? Should I be thinking about disclosing the expired inventory in the better interest of the public if the problem remains so? Should I be thinking about disclosing the expired inventory in the better interest of the public? And whenever I disclose in the better interest of the public, should I take a legal advice? I hope you remember that when something is to be disclosed in the public interest, should I take a legal advice before disclosing it in the public interest? Is that true? Is that the condition? Yes. So should I seek a legal advice? Seek a legal advice? See, I'm writing all my actions now. I'm writing absolute action for the whole case. Should I be thinking of disclosing the expired inventory in the better interest of the public? And should I take a legal advice? Because it is a voluntary disclosure, right? So obviously, I should first be discussing with the hospital management, right? If the hospital management does not rectify the problem, if the hospital management does not rectify the problem, then obviously I have to take this matter to the public interest, and I should seek a legal advice. Yes, we can ask those charged with governance, right? That is basically the first action, right? I will first go to those charged with governance. If those charged with governance does not listen to me, I would obviously first discuss with TCWG. If they don't listen to me, then I will think about disclosing. And before disclosing, I should seek a legal advice. And will I also reconsider my future of relationship? Reconsider the future of auditor-client relationship? Should I reconsider the future of the auditor-client relationship here? Should I reconsider the future of the auditor-client relationship? Will I be reworking as an auditor for this hospital in future? Yes or no? Will I be thinking about withdrawing from this hospital once I complete the audit? So will it affect the future of the auditor-client relationship? So see, in all my answer, did I tell the examiner this is a professional issue, this is an ethical issue? Because examiner will give me a mark to justify an issue. Examiner will not give me a mark to classify the issue. How much time you waste in an exam paper to think about, is it a professional issue? Is it an ethical issue? See, when I was reading the case, was I worried about the class of the issue? Or was I worried about just picking the issue from the case, whatever that is? I hope you're getting that message very clear, all of you. Did I read the case top down? Did I read the case top down? And whatever was there in the case, I just picked that and justified that. Was I worried about, is it professional, is it ethical? Have I solved the full case by taking everything into perspective? No, not at all. You cannot classify the issue. You cannot give a heading of professional issue and ethical issue. Macarally. Because then you will be puzzled in which heading to put what context. Half the time you will waste in the exam paper thinking, should I put it under professional? Should I not put it under professional? You just see my headings, see my headings. Valuation of medical inventory is my heading. See the headings. Finance refusal. See my headings. My headings are coming from the case. My headings are coming from the case. And please, all of you, I'm asking you one final question before I get to the break and start with the big question after the break. Are you understanding how I read the case with all of you? I read the case top down. I read the case top down. Whatever the problem was, see, every time the examiner will give you a unique case. So I read the unique case of the examiner, and whatever was there, I just wrote it. Now, you can write the action along with the issue. You can write the actions after. It's up to you, right? You can write all the issues first and then write the action. You can write all the issues first and then write the action. Or you can write an issue and an action together. That's up to you, right? That is all presentation. That is all presentation. Wes, you have to do the illustration in paragraph, right? I just tried picking the point for you just to tell you how you pick points, and under every point I wrote A, B, C, A, B, D, just to guide you. You have to convert all that into paragraph. I hope under every point you can see the breakup. I hope that breakup can help you write a paragraph. So try making a paragraph under every heading, taking into context my points. Yes, Simon, you will get points for stating the accounting treatment because that was the requirement of the case. That was case specific, right? Yes, Salman, you can use headings. I did use headings, right? See how many headings I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all headings. Under the heading, I was writing AB. Is that clear to everyone? Have you got some confidence booster looking at the Smoothwood Hospital? So what's the issue with professional issues in exam paper? Why you struggle with it? You either you overthink in the exam paper, or you simply puzzle yourself. Half the time you're puzzled. Is it professional? Is it ethical? See, when it was ethical, right? Intimidation threat. So I hope you're getting a clear picture of this Moosewood Hospital question, right? Okay, now it's time for a break, and post break, we'll be starting on with comment on the quality control. So we'll take the question where we have to connect the quality. So we'll do a question on EPQ. We've done a question on ethics. We've done a question on ethical and professional issue. Now we have to do a question on quality control, right? So that's right after the break. We'll take that as the final exercise of the session today, and we'll be taking on, this is your assignment, right? June 16 question 4B. This is ethical and professional. You will do this yourself. This is ethical and professional, and you will do it as your assignment, considering how well you understood the Moosewood question. Now, what I will be doing with you after the break is this question. This is from the June 16 exams, and the question number 2, June 16, question number 2. I will be doing this right after the break. This is a big question, and it has quality. Okay, I hope all of you are clear. Have your confidence boosted in the last 90 minutes before we get to the break? How many of you are optimistic of handling a question on EPQ? How many of you have boosted the confidence? And obviously you need more practice right after the end of the session today. So are you optimistic? Have you identified your weaknesses? Okay, and again, the June 16 question will give you more insights because that's a big question. So again, I will prove that you have to read the question from top down, and automatically the problems will come. Some question will be on evidence, some question will be on planning, some question will be on the completion stage. So you have to read the story of the examiner. You cannot go in the exam mentally prepared. You never know what story the examiner will give you. So just read the story of the examiner and solve it. So whatever is in the story, make a heading and write under the heading. Okay, get to the break. It's exactly 10 p.m. the Pakistan Standard Time. So in like 15 minutes, we'll be resuming back. That's 10:15 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time. And in the last 45 minutes, we'll be on a question on EPQ, which is right in front of your screen. Okay, it's break time, right? 15 minutes of the break time, and I'm coming back. Okay, welcome back after the break. And now, in the last 45 minutes of this practice to pass session, the focus is on a question which includes quality. So, I can emphasize on my point that quality depends upon ethical and professional issues. So, let's start looking at this question. It says, comment on the quality of the audit performed. So, examiner wants us to do the comment. Comment on what? Examiner wants us to do the comment on the quality of the audit performed. So he wants us to do the comment on the quality of the audit performed, discussing the quality control, ethical and professional issues. Now I'll do the same thing as I did for Moosewood. I'll be reading it downwards from top, and wherever I find an issue, I'll be raising it and justifying it. Okay, let's see how to go down with it. Okay, the first one. From your review of the audit planning, you know that a new packing machine with a cost of $1.6 million was acquired by Stanley in March 2015 and is recognized in the draft statement of financial position at a carrying amount of $1.4 million. The packing machine is located at the premises of the Aberdeen Company, a distribution company which used to pack and distribute a significant proportion of Stanley Company product. Now this is just an introductory paragraph, and this introductory paragraph is telling us about that the company acquired a machine at $1.6 million, and the book value of the machine is currently $1.4 million. And this is a packing machine which is located at the distribution company which pack goods for Stanley. So that's an introduction. The machine has not been physically verified by the member of the audit team. So is that the first problem which will compromise my quality? The machine has not been physically verified by the member of the audit team. So my first problem comes here. Number one, no physical verification. No physical verification. And I'll write under it. There was no physical verification. There was no physical verification of the machine located at the premises of the Aberdeen Company, which means no evidence was gathered on the existence of the new packing machine. Existence is the key assertion. See, significance. Existence is the key assertion for fixed assets. Existence is the key assertion of the fixed asset. Existence is a key assertion of the fixed assets which confirm whether the asset exists or is fictitious. See, I raise a point from the case study. I tell examiner there was no physical verification, so that means we have gathered no evidence on the existence of the packing machine. And then I told the examiner that I know existence is very important for a tangible asset, and which confirms, because this physical verification confirms whether the asset exists or is fictitious. But did I verify the physical verification of the machine? Did I know whether the asset exists or is it fictitious? So have I compromised the quality of my evidence? Have I compromised the quality of my evidence? This, no physical verification, no physical verification must had compromised the quality of evidence gathered for the new packing machine. Comment on this, right? And now we know the marking scheme is 1.5 this time, right? I just justified that at the beginning of the session, that when the question comes combined on ethical, professional, unethical, professional, and quality control, each issue you are raising is 1.5 marks. Okay, next point, point number 2. The audit working paper conclude that we have obtained a purchase invoice and order in relation to the machine, and therefore can conclude that the asset is appropriately valued and exists. Is that the right conclusion? On the basis of the purchase invoice, and the order, how can we conclude that the asset is valued? Do purchase invoice confirm the cost of the machine, or do the purchase invoice confirm the valuation of the machine? The valuation is the book value, right? The valuation is the cost less depreciation. So do purchase invoice confirm cost, or do purchase invoice confirm the valuation? So have we took the right conclusion? And how can a purchase invoice confirm it exists? How can a purchase invoice confirm it exists? For existence, we have to go and have a physical verification, right? So have we took a wrong conclusion here? Will I criticize the conclusion? Will I criticize examiner the conclusion here? Number 2, purchase invoice and order. See, how am I raising the headings? I am not raising heading professional and ethical. I'm raising the heading from the case study and justifying my point. Purchase invoice and order, and I'll tell examiner the purchase invoice can only verify the cost of the asset, but it cannot verify the valuation. It cannot verify the valuation. It cannot verify the valuation, as the valuation is the net book value. The valuation is the net book value post depreciation. Then next, I will be telling examiner, moreover, the purchase invoice and the order cannot verify the existence of the asset, because existence can only be verified through physical verification. And have I done the physical verification? Because existence can only be verified through physical verification, which was not undertaken. Thus, see now what I'm writing. Thus, the audit team took a wrong conclusion. Have we took a wrong conclusion? Therefore can conclude. Can you see that line? Therefore can conclude. So have we took a wrong conclusion? Thus, the audit team took a wrong conclusion, which demonstrates their lack of professional behavior. That means the team was not demonstrating the behavior. They never knew that the purchase invoice cannot verify the valuation. So thus the team took a wrong conclusion, which demonstrates their lack of professional behavior, and again led to compromising, and again led to compromising the audit quality relating to the work performed, on the new packing machine. I hope you can see my commenting coming after every paragraph because everything connects with quality. So if I've done something good, it connects to quality. If I can done something bad, it connects to quality. Then the next para, 3. In addition, the managing director of the Aberdeen company has confirmed in writing that the machine is located at their premises and is in working condition. No further work is needed in respect of this item. Can I just rely on a management representation? Should I not do any further work? It says that the management confirmed it in writing that the machine is located at their premises and is in working order. Have I physically checked? Is it in working order? Is it exist? Can I just rely on a management representation? And and what I'm saying no further work is needed. So can I just alone depend upon a representation here? Point number 3, representation from Aberdeen. See my heading, representation from Aberdeen, and I'll say representation alone is not a sufficient evidence, is not a sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Representation alone is not a sufficient appropriate audit evidence as representation is only taken as a last resort of evidence and only when something is subjective. Was the physical verification subjective? Was the physical verification subjective? I could have gone down and seen it. Was it something subjective? So why I took a representation? So it can only be taken when something is subjective. So then I tell examiner, the auditor cannot use representation. The auditor cannot use representation as a substitute, of the evidence which the auditor should had gathered himself. Is that true? The auditor cannot use representation as a substitute of the evidence which the auditor should had gathered himself. Yes, Sayyid Heather Raza Naqvi, you can write in serial order because every serial order is a heading in a paragraph. The serial order is not the bullets, right? These are minor issues. These are minor things. Focus on the broader things. See how am I writing the answer? The auditor cannot use representation as a substitute of evidence which the auditor should have gathered himself. Thus, representation, thus the audit team has not performed any proper work. The audit team has not performed any proper work on the new packing machine, even though it was material. In this question, the materiality level was 1.5, right? So if you see the question, this packing machine is material, right? Thus, the audit team has not performed any proper work on the new packing machine, even though it was material, and ultimately led to the compromisation of the audit quality. See, at the end of every statement, ultimately led to compromisation of the audit quality. Right? It ultimately led to the compromisation of the audit quality. See, can you see my comment on quality coming at the end of every line justifying how the quality has been compromised? Have you seen the change from Moosewood question to this question? Because the Moosewood question was just asking for professional issues. Even in this question, if it would had just been a professional issue, I would have omitted the line of quality. But why am I writing the line of quality? Because the examiner wants comment on the quality. So see, am I commenting on the quality every possible time? Every para is worth 1.5 marks, right? 1.5, right? So technically I've taken 4.5 marks so far. I made the clarification on the marking scheme, Abbas, at the beginning of the exercise today. Number fourth. Okay, the para number one has completed, right? I got 3 points from the para one. Let's see what's the issue in para two. I've taken an extract of this question, right? I have omitted some paragraphs. So you can do the question in full. I am doing 2 of these paragraphs in the class today. Okay, now we got 3 points from the paragraph on what? On the paragraph on machine. So the machine paragraph give us 3 points. Okay, now let's go down with the next one. The audit senior spoke to you yesterday voicing some concerns about the performance of the audit. A summary of his comment is shown below. When reading the company's board minute, I found several references to the audit engagement partner, Joy. Audit engagement partner, Joy. Significance. See the significance. Who has the ethical threat? The ethical threat relates with whom? The partner. The ethical threat relates with the partner, right? So, Joy. It appeared that Joy recommended. It appears that Joy recommended the company use the service of his brother Mick. So the partner is recommending the company to use the service of his brother. So if the partner is recommending to the company to use the service of his brother, is it giving rise to a self-interest threat? Number fourth, is it giving rise to a self-interest threat as the partner is promoting his brother? Is he trying to get him a job in the company? Is he trying to get him a favor that he gets a job in this company as a management consultant? So is he trying to work for the self-interest of his brother? Whether the self-interest relates directly with the partner or the self-interest relates with any family member, it's the same, right? I hope you know this code of conduct language. Whether it is a direct self-interest of the partner or of any family member, it still remains a self-interest because the brother is closely connected with the partner. It's a self-interest threat. Number one, Joy, the engagement partner. See, am I telling examiner the significance? I told you in the previous question. Joy, comma, the engagement partner recommended the company recommended the company to use the services of his brother. Use the service of his brother. Give rise to self-interest threat as Joy is trying to influence his position. He's trying to influence his position to get his brother the position of the management consultant in the company. Is he trying to influence his position to get his brother the job? Is he trying to influence his position to get his brother the job? So that is self-interest. Second threat is familiarity. Why familiarity? Because of the relationship. Self-interest is in the case because he recommended his brother. So recommended is the emphasis here, right? What's the emphasis of the case? The emphasis of the case is recommended. So recommended is a self-interest. Now comes familiarity. Familiarity is by default, right? Familiarity is by default. Self-interest was case. Familiarity is by default. Familiarity. Joy, the engagement partner. Again, emphasize. See, emphasize. Joy, the engagement partner, has a close family relationship. Has a close family relationship with Mick, being his brother, being his brother, which give rise to familiarity threat, as familiarity threat, and joy will be too sympathetic. Joy will be too sympathetic towards any decisions taken by his brother. Will Joy be sympathetic towards his brother because of the close family relationship? Ubaid Rahman, long relationship is something different. Family relationship is something different. It is a family relationship. Joy and Mick are brothers. So is it giving rise to a sympathetic relationship? Will Joy be sympathetic? Will Joy be critically checking the work of his brother? Any decision taken by his brother which becomes part of the financial statement, will Joy be criticizing the decision of his brother? Will Joy be critically looking at the decision of his brother? It is quite possible that many decisions of Mick later become part of the financial statement. Is it possible? He's a management consultant, right? He might have given many decisions which later become part of the financial statement. So can it also give rise to a self-review threat? Right, then the next point number 6. I mentioned this to Joy, and he told me not to record it in the working papers or to discuss it with anyone else. Is the partner demonstrating the leadership qualities here? Is the partner demonstrating the leadership quality? He's saying, don't tell this to anyone or to discuss it with anyone. Is he trying to intimidate the senior? Is he trying to intimidate the senior by his position? Is the partner trying to intimidate the person by his position? He's saying not to tell it to anyone, not to document that. And he's also not demonstrating the leadership qualities, right? Is partner the custodian of ethics? Is that true? Is partner the custodian of ethics? Is partner the custodian of ethics? Yes or no? So is he doing something wrong here? No, not just the ethics partner, right? Every partner is custodian of ethics. So can a partner compromise ethics? Then how will he sign the report? Ethics partner is different, Lisa. Ethics partner is different. Ethics partner do the monitoring. But every partner in his or her capacity is a custodian of ethics. The ethics partner is there only to monitor it, right? Okay, the next point. Point number 6. Intimidation threat. Intimidation threat. Why intimidation threat? Because Joey, the engagement partner, used his position to influence the senior not to record this or to disclose this to anyone. So the engagement partner pressurizes the senior for a favorable outcome. What was the favorable outcome here, right? The favorable outcome was that he tried that you don't want this to be disclosed, right? So has he got his favorable outcome by intimidating the senior? The favorable outcome was not to record, not to record, not to disclose. So has he got it done? And the last point, leadership responsibilities. Leadership responsibilities. Joy, being the engagement partner, is a custodian, is a custodian, is a custodian of ethics and should set a right culture in the audit firm relating to ethics. Is the action of the partner setting a right culture in the audit firm? Is the action of Joy setting a right culture in the audit firm? Is he telling senior you can break ethics, you can compromise ethics? Is he setting a right culture for the senior to follow? Is he setting the right culture for the senior to follow? So Joy, being the engagement partner, is a custodian of ethics and should set a right culture in the audit firm relating to ethics. However, his actions, his actions are not setting the right culture, which will ultimately compromise, which will ultimately compromise the standards of ethics within the audit firm. Will it compromise the standards of ethics within the audit firm? Standards of ethics within the audit firm. Thus, the ethical issues, as stated above, will compromise the quality of the overall audit performed, and would also compromise the quality. Thus, the ethical issues as stated above had compromised the quality of the overall audit performed, and had also compromised, it is in past tense, right? And has also compromised the quality of the leadership role within the audit firm. So see, we got a leadership responsibility in this question because this question was focusing on Joy, and Joy did something wrong. He set a wrong culture. And obviously ethical issues, there were so many ethical issues in the case which basically compromised the quality of the overall audit performed. And it also compromised the quality of the leadership role. Did the partner exercise the right leadership role? Did the partner compromise the right leadership role? He didn't, right? So see, after I've given you both illustrations, right? I've given you an illustration where I wrote quality with every para, and in this case, I wrote quality after the end of the ethical problems. So in the exam, if you think I can accumulate the problems and then I can write the comment on the quality, you can accumulate some of the problems and then write the paragraph on quality. So have I done the comment on the quality for the para 2? But I did the commenting on the quality at the end of the para. Is that clear to everyone? So again, give me an answer. Did I read the case from top down? And I stopped at every point where I think I should raise my point. So wherever there was a problem, I stopped, I put a heading, and under the heading, I put my explanation. Was I worried about is it professional, is it ethical? Or was I more worried about justifying why it is a problem? Was I more worried about justifying what is the problem, or was I more worried about justifying the class of the issue? What is more important to gain marks in the exam paper? Is it important to gain marks in the exam paper? Is it important to gain marks in the exam paper just to classify the issue, or is it important to gain marks in the exam paper for telling why it is an issue? Why it is an issue? So I hope this drill is helping you, that you go top down, stop, think of the problem, and then justify why. So before I just take one small case more, so what you are doing, you have to read the case top down, read the case top down. Number one, key success points, right? Key success points. Read the case top down, number one. Second, identify the issue, identify the issue irrespective, irrespective whether, irrespective whether it is ethical or professional. Read the case top down, right? Read the case top down and identify the issue irrespective whether it is ethical or professional. Use a heading from the case, use a heading from the case, use a heading from the case and explain why it is an issue. Explain why it is an issue and what must had been the implication, what must had been the implication of the problem, what must had been the implication of the problem, and connect connect the problem to quality, connect the problem to quality if the question specifically asks for, if the question specifically asks for. Are you understanding these key success points here? Read the case top down, identify the issue irrespective of the class, use a heading from the case, use a heading from a case, as I did in the Moosewood, as I did in Stenley Company, as I did in the Connolly Company. Explain why it is an issue, because you will get marks for not just identifying, you will get marks for why it is an issue. Why it is an issue. So where is the marks? The marks is for the why, right? And what must have been the implication? Then connect the problem with quality. And also one last thing, write actions where the examiner asks for. Write the actions where examiner has specifically asked for. Where the examiner has specifically asked for. Yes, the implication, Sayyid Heather Raza Naqvi, the implication could be on quality if specifically asked for. But what about the Moosewood Hospital we did today? Was there an implication on the client integrity? Was there an implication on the future of the auditor-client relationship? So implication has to be case specific. See the implication in the Moosewood Hospital. The implication was on the client integrity. The implication was on the future of the auditor-client relationship. And in this question, because the examiner was specifically asked for, the implication is on what? The implication is on quality. So examiner will tell you through the case what should be the implication. Is that clear to everyone? Okay, just one last thing quickly, moving towards the end, last 10 minutes, crucial 10 minutes of this day 3. Okay, though I have to give you this for assignment, but because I have 10 minutes, so let me do a sketch of it. Let me do a sketch of this question. This is your assignment, right? But I'm trying to make a sketch, so at least you have some sense from this. This is a question on ethical and professional issue, right in front of your screen from June 16, question number 4B. And this question says, the audit committee of another client, Mumbai company, has asked the partner to consider whether it would be possible for the audit team to perform a review of the company's internal control system. So what the audit committee has requested us? The audit committee has requested us that can we perform a review of the internal control system. So how many threats will come from? Review the company's internal control system. So if I review the company's internal control system, how many threats will come? Number one, I will have a self-review threat. Is that true? If I review the company's internal control system, will I have a self-review threat, right? And will I be generating income? Self-interest threat, because it is my client. So Mumbai company is my client, right? Self-interest threat. Self-review threat, why? Sorry, self-interest threat, why? Because of the income generated. Self-review threat, see now, very important. We have been asked to perform a review of the internal control system. Now see how I raise my point. Perform a review of the internal control system. Now I tell examiner, self-review threat. See, is it a listed company? Mumbai is a listed company. Will it take the significance? Mumbai is a listed company. Will it take its significance? Yes. Now see how I write self-review. Just understand. First I tell examiner that the internal control systems can be related to financial reporting or non-financial reporting. Is the audit committee telling me which internal control should I be reviewing? Should I be reviewing the internal controls relating to financial reporting, or should I be reporting internal controls relating to non-financial reporting? Is the question silent on the type of controls? So will I be telling examiner that whether the internal control systems relates to financial reporting or non-financial reporting? Now see the significance. If it relates to non-financial reporting, then it is permissible. It is permissible for a listed company. It is permissible for a listed company, and it is permissible through having separate teams. Permissible for a listed company by having two separate teams. But if it relates to financial reporting, then it is prohibited because it's material. Prohibited because the internal control system relating to financial reporting directly connects with financial statement. So see, two safeguards here. Is what the question was silent, right? The question was silent, so I wrote if. So I tell examiner if it relates with non-financial reporting, if it relates with non-financial reporting, if it relates with financial reporting, if it relates with financial reporting. So I got 1 mark for telling examiner prohibited, safeguard, 1 mark for telling two teams, and 1 mark for telling examiner, this is a question on ethical and professional issue, right? 1.5 mark for telling this is a self-review threat. But will the significance of self-review threat changes? Will the self-review threat be different if it relates to financial reporting? Because financial reporting is a significant self-review threat. significant self-review threat, and non-financial reporting is an insignificant self-review threat. So that is the reason the code of conduct says, oh, yes, it's permissible. It is an insignificant self-review threat. Yes, Saddam Hussein, if it is an unlisted company, then everything is possible. We should have two teams. But currently we are solving a question on a listed company, right? So can you understand the significance of a self-review threat if it relates to internal controls on financial reporting or internal controls on a non-financial reporting? Then we have a self-interest threat, right? We also have a management threat. Do we have a management threat in this case? Is internal control system a management responsibility? Is internal control systems a management responsibility? So are we assuming the role of the management? Assuming the role of the management? Will it give rise to a management threat? Assuming the role of the management? Because internal control systems is the responsibility of the management. So is the auditor stepping into the shoes of the management? Will it give rise to a management threat? So see how many marks? Self-interest, 1.5 mark, because this is a question on E and P together. Management threat, 1.5 marks. How many marks we took from safeguards? 2 marks. And the last point, a number of recent incidents have raised concern among the management team that controls have deteriorated and that this has increased the risk of fraud as well as inefficient commercial practices. So the management is very much concerned about the risk of fraud because they think the controls have deteriorated. So when I come for the next year audit, of Mumbai company, will I consider this as a risk factor that the controls have deteriorated? Will I need to be skeptical when I come for the next year audit that the controls have deteriorated and this has increased the risk of fraud? So should I be approaching the next year audit with more skepticism as a professional issue? So the management is concerned, right, that the controls have deteriorated. So the auditor should approach the next year audit of Mumbai company more skeptically and more carefully, because there is a risk of fraud due to weak internal control systems. So the management is saying this has increased the risk of fraud, right? And the last line, the most interesting, it says the audit report for the audit of the financial statement of Mumbai company was signed a few weeks ago. Can we say the auditor was unable to detect these weak internal controls because the auditor signed the report, but did the auditor inform the management that the controls are weak? Who identified the weak controls? The auditor or the management? Who identified the weak controls? The management or the auditor? The auditor issued a report a few weeks ago, but did the auditor identify the weak controls? It was the management, right? It was the management who identified the controls of weak. So can we say that the audit was performed with lack of professional behavior? The audit was performed with lack of professional behavior or lack of skepticism. Can we say it can give rise to the negligence of the auditor? Can give rise to negligence of the auditor? Audit was performed with lack of professional behavior because we issued the report last week without informing management of weak controls. Could it be possible that we did the audit last time in a rush without better quality? Is that true? Does it seems like the auditor did a bad audit last time because this problem should have been communicated by the auditor to the management rather than the management communicating this problem to the auditor? Can it bring a risk on the auditor performance of the audit? So see, this question was your assignment, but at least trying sketching something out for you so that you can perform it better. So there are many ethical threats in this question, right? And this question have some professional problems. So point number 4 and the point number 5 sounds like professional problems. Yes, exactly, Emma. Auditor failed to discuss the weak internal control with management. Seems like a negligence of the auditor. Okay, I hope you had a good session today. So it's almost the time up, and I hope you had a good session today. You understood some of your weaknesses in the ethical, professional, and quality control issues, and I hope you had an effective day today, day 3, and we are meeting for day 4 tomorrow. And the agenda of the day 4, the last day, is to work on reporting. Now, reporting is a compulsory question, so will play a crucial part. So I need to demonstrate how you could be good on reporting. So I'll be meeting you tomorrow for reporting, the last day of this practice to pass session, and I hope you are preparing yourself effectively for the exams on Monday. Just one quick feedback. How was the session today, and how effective the learning was from the session today on ethical, professional, and quality control issues? Okay, so I'll be meeting you tomorrow. It's time to sign off. And wish you best of luck for your exams on Monday. I'll be meeting you tomorrow. Goodbye and Allah Hafiz. Have a nice day, and I'll see you tomorrow.